This episode is kind of a bit of a slowdown from the previous amazing episodes. Why? Because we're focusing on Eph again!
Oh, come on! But we get flashbacks.
We have Sam back!
Hi, Sam!
Yeah. So this episode opens with a flashback, and it is how Eph met Nora. Eph is giving a speech, and he's like, oh, we need to beef up our protocols for
flying. People with diseases flying, which is, oh, that irony.
Nora's in the audience, and she's, like, challenging him on everything, and she's making good points.
We should be focusing on vaccines. Oh, the irony.
Eph had heard about her from another colleague, and he offers her a job. And Sam is like, no, that's probably not a good idea. You are, having trouble in your marriage, and,
Nora is attractive.
Problems will ensue. We get another flashback later on, which is like, they're all kind of just having dinner, and, Sam gets drunk, and he's lying on the couch.
You two look good together.
And you're just like, oh. And so they go into the kitchen, and, they're having an innocent conversation, and it spirals into, we've got this thing going, and Kelly is giving Eph a divorce, so, let's just totally do it. Let's just literally do it. On the other hand, we have Gus running around doing his thing.
Gus and the Silver Angel break into a jail to break out Gus's buddies, and it goes wrong.
How could that not go wrong?
Because the jail is full of vampires.
Surprise!
And humanity is stupid.
Surprise!
You know what? The show actually addresses it in this episode.
Yeah, that was like the theme of this episode, is humanity are morons.
People are willing to do stuff for like monetary gain.
And short-term
gain. And not think about the future. And that is what's screwing everything over. And I was just like, yes, Strain.
You are correct. So Gus breaks into the prison with Angel, and they let out some of the prisoners who have not been yet turned. He's like, guys, we're gonna go out quietly because you do not want to wake the vampires. And lo and behold, the prisoners see a guard who's trapped and like, oh, we can finally take revenge. Pop, pop. And of course, they wake the vampires, and they have to fight their way out. And of course they get out, and one of the guys is like,
I ain't gonna listen to you and this Quinlan bastard.
I make my own decisions. And Angel's like, well, okay, take this. And shoots the guy, and Gus is like, anybody else want to stay here with this bitch? And they all get on the bus.
Gus now has like 20 dudes that are gonna help him do his job, which will be nice. Some more vampire killers.
Yay!
Angel proves his loyalty.
Yeah, they're so cute together.
Oh, I love
such
them
a bromance.
so much.
And then we have Eph and Nora. They have not given up their plan to get this vaccine out there. The thing is that Zach is in the way. They can't just leave him at home as they go out and fight this war. So when they realize that his grandmother, Zach's grandmother, is still alive and has gotten out of the city, they're like, okay, we're getting this kid out.
And so they go to the councilwoman and are like, okay, you help us do this, and in payment get us passes to get out of the city, and we be cool. But meanwhile, the councilwoman is having a really, really shitty day.
First thing, the mayor walks in and threatens her. He's like, I want your resignation, I'm gonna have you indicted, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, get out of my office. And he goes home, and he turns up dead. Oops.
Someone shot him and made it look like a murder and robbery.
Yes. So a detective is knocking on her door like, I'm not going to let you get away with this, not in my city. Yeah. And you're like, you freaking tool, get out. But, so, she's upset. She makes sure that her police chief did not order this, and she wants to make sure that none of her police officers had anything to do with it. I personally blame Palmer.
Oh, definitely. This was totally Palmer.
In the next few scenes, Palmer walks in and he's like, hey, I support you, I want to see you go far.
I hate him so much. He's so awful.
I just
want to die too. And oh my my god, Coco. Coco.
We had no expectations
Honey.
for her.
Honey. Because, you know what? Instead of waking up and being like, hey, this guy who, you know, I thought was awesome is actually not awesome, and he's kind of like...
He's clearly working for the bad guys.
I'm gonna stay with him and side with him and become a bad guy now, guys.
Lumen has resurfaced, and it is with the gangsters.
Yes.
And the gangsters are like, hey, Setrakien, we have another interested buyer, and it is Palmer. We're gonna have a bidding war!
Why is it coming down to a bidding war, guys?
Seriously, because, you know, Icor's wants it. Why doesn't he just go in there with, like, 20 of his vampires and just take out the gangsters? Why are we actually negotiating with them? And I'm sure that Setrakien can come up with a clever way to just steal it from them. We should be above playing nice by now.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna have a bidding war. And so then Icor goes to Palmer and he's like, hey,
the master wants me to go instead of you!
You give us money and I'm gonna go get the Lumen.
And Coco's like, you don't have to do this, Eldritch. And freaking Icor's just like, oh, you want to fight? Like, you know, he like gets in her face. And then my favorite like throwaway line in this entire friggin' episode is, you misogynistic.
Coming from Eldritch.
Like, it's just so bad because it's just like, this isn't gonna work.
No.
It's not gonna work. Because now that we've realized that we all need each other.
Oh, it was such a fake speech.
Because we find out that the white that the master gave Eldritch doesn't last forever.
We knew that. Nobody's shocked.
But
Except Eldritch.
Eldritch, because he thought, I'm immortal. No.
I'm pretty sure they had this conversation before, and they're like, oh, you think it's forever, do you? And
No,
he
he thought that it was he thought he was going to turn into a vampire.
And I guess he thought it lasted forever.
Yeah, so he thought it lasted forever. Which would have been a pretty sweet deal. Like, that's a bit of a stretch. They're thinking that, like, why would they do that? But, so now the bad guy side is kind of like,
So now they're like, we're one big happy family.
we totally all get along and aren't dysfunctional.
Yeah, that's happening. Then you have Dutch, who's recovering from her traumatic incident last episode.
And she chooses her girlfriend over the rat catcher.
Which breaks my heart, just into. The way she does it, she's sitting there and she's like trying to write a letter and he comes in and he's like, well, good thing I'm here then, we can just talk it out. And she's like, you get me. Like, you know who I am, you know my flaws, my weaknesses, you still see me for who I am and love me for who I am, and I'm leaving you. And you're just like, no.
And you know what I loved? The part that I love the most about that entire scene is he doesn't, like, yell at her. He doesn't, like, attack her for her decisions. He just lets her go.
He's just like, well, I wish you luck. I want you to be happy. Here's your stuff. There's the door. And she's like, you're making the, like, you're not making this easy. Like,
it's like, good things aren't easy. I'm just like, and then she goes to her girlfriend and her girlfriend leaves her.
Like, big surprise. We knew she was going.
Yeah, like, of course. But I'm just like, you can't catch a break, can you?
On one hand, I'm really pissed at you for leaving the rat catcher. On the other hand, damn, girl, that sucks.
Not much happened this episode. It's just setting up for the bidding war of the next episode.
Which we know is going to be a shit show.
Because Icorst and Setrakien are going to be in one room together.
And also final episode.
Master!
Finally almost through this. Almost hell. I wonder if the Master's going to show up for this
He
ultimate
better.
showdown.
He really should. You know, predictions. Predictions.
I think Setrakien will finally get the Lumen. I think he needs to get the Lumen.
I think Zach's gonna die.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be really okay with that. I don't think they're gonna get out of the city. I think the councilwoman's gonna die too. Palmer is just... Do you think Palmer's gonna strike out on his own?
I think he might try, but I don't think it's gonna work out.
Oh, no, I don't think
he's
gonna work.
doomed.
But I think he's gonna try and betray Icorst in this somehow. And he's gonna fuck himself over. It'd be really funny if he dies and Coco gets turned into a vampire.
You know what? I'd be okay with that.
I would too. It'd just be so ironic. Yeah, and how is Eph gonna fuck everything up?
Well, we'll have to wait till next week when we finally can watch the last episode of The Strain.
Oh my god.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait for this to be over. Okay, so tell us what you think. Tell us your predictions for the final episode if you haven't seen it. No spoilers if you have. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. Subscribe down below. Bye, guys.